Today, we'll make a decorative paper cage with birds and flowers inside. Weave the cage from paper tubes. We'll take used office paper as it's thick enough for the cage to keep its shape. Cut out the sheet into 3 parts. Use a protecting cover. We also need a knitting needle size 1 or 2 and white glue. Add a line of glue along the edge. Roll the paper onto the needle starting with the corner. Press the end to keep it in place. Remove the needle. Make other tubes in the same way. We need a couple of dozens of these details. Take 4 pairs of tubes and place them so they form a square of 1 inch per side. Each pair should cross one pair over and the other one beneath. The tube should be crossed in the middle. Make a tube longer, putting one glued end into another one. Bend the long tube in half and wind the far pair. Cross the tubes, changing the top and bottom ones, and wind around another pair of stands. Cross the tubes again and proceed in the same way around the circle. Place the layer closest to the square sides. Weave in the same way around until the end of the layer. Keep the square shape. Make the second layer by weaving in the same way. Make tubes longer as far as needed. When the second layer is finished, split the pairs weaving around each stand. Continue weaving 12 layers without changes. Attach the tubes near the last stand of the 12th layer with white glue. Cut off the excess. Make all 16 stands longer. Wind the last stand of the 12th layer around the next left one and turn upright. Continue in the same way until the end of the layer. Take a folded in half long tube. Wind around any stand and weave the walls crossing the tubes like you did when making the bottom. Make 4 layers. Tuck the tubes near the last stand, cutting off the excess. Move 3 inches up and continue weaving. Keep the same interval between the stands on the top and on the bottom. Secure the ends at the end of the layer. Cut off the excess. Bend the stands to the center to form a dome-shaped top. Move 2 inches from the last layer. Take 2 tubes and weave them over together. Continue in the same way until the end of the layer. Try to make an even top taper. Attach the weaving with a peg to keep in place. Glue the tubes around the stand at the end of the second layer. Cut out every inner stand from each pair. Bend a stand around and tuck its end into the opposite stand base, forming an arc. Continue around the level. Make the stand longer if needed. You should make a handle. Bend another tube to form a ring. Make 2 winds between the top stands. Bend a long tube to form a ring to make a perch for birds. Wind a double ring. Attach the ends. Secure a thread end on the ring. Take 2 decorative birds. You can buy them in floral or handmade supply shops. Attach a bird with hot glue. Attach the other one in the same way. Let's embellish the cage with several flowers from ribbon and seed beads. Make the core first. Draw a 2-inch circle on the right side of the faux leather. Cut it out. Sew down white seed beads to cover the whole surface on the back side of the circle. Now let's make ribbon petals. Fold the ribbon end at the petal half the width. Cut it out. Both petal sides are symmetrical. Prepare several pieces and fray check the edges. Hold the petals over the fire for just a second to get them folded like the natural ones. Make a basic circle a bit bigger than the core. Add some hot glue to the edge on the white side. Attach the petals. Attach 2 to 3 petal rows, then sew down the stamens to the beaded circle. Hot glue the core to the base. Make several details in the same way. Decorate the cage bottom with artificial flowers. Add hot glue to the flower's back and attach it to the bottom inside the cage. Attach other flowers in the same way. Now, hang the birds inside. This fragile decorative cage will embellish your interior for a ceremonial event, a wedding, for example, or a photo shoot, and will certainly become the center of attention at a kid's party. In this video, we'll make a festive woven paper basket. Let's make the paper tubes first. We'll need a protecting cover mat, used office paper, a knitting needle size 2, white glue, and a craft knife. Fold and cut out a paper sheet into 3 parts. Use a craft knife. Add a line of glue across the edge. Roll the paper on the needle, starting with a corner. Remove the needle. Prepare 16 tubes in this way. Now join 2 tubes by twisting a glued end of one into the other. Follow this way to get 8 extended elements, which we'll further call the frame stands or just stands. We use thick office paper for the frame to make the basket keep shape. We'll use softer newspaper to make the tubes for weaving. The newspaper tubes are rolled in the same way, just use a size 4 needle. Place the frame stands in pairs to shape a woven square of 1 inch side in the center. Further, use the newspaper tubes. Make an extended element from 2 tubes. Fold in half, wind around the upper pair, and start to weave clockwise. Place the weaving to the square tight to look neat. Make the tubes longer as far as needed. Split the pairs after the second row and weave around each stand individually. Glue the tubes after the 4th row and fasten the weaving around the stand. Cut off the excess. Wind the last stand of the 4th row around the next right one and bend upright. Continue sticking the frame tubes up counterclockwise. Pass the last stand through the loop and bend upright. Be sure the frame widens upward. Weave the walls. Fasten the weaving next to the stand at the end of the 6th row. Cut off the excess. Bend the last stand of the row to shape a 1 inch high arc. Leave an extra inch and cut it out at an angle. Glue the end and tuck it into the weaving next to the closest stand. Use a needle. Continue in this way. Be careful to bend the arcs of the same size. Tuck the last stand into the weaving near the first tube of the row. Now we need to cover the basket with the ground. Make it by mixing white glue, white water-based paint, and water in equal proportions. Add the blue color. Paint all the sides thoroughly. Let it dry. Now cover the basket with acrylic finish. Follow the instructions on the wrap of how to use it. The surface darkens a bit because of the finish that makes the color brighter and more saturated. If you apply a double coat, you'll be able to wash up the craft carefully. Embellish the basket with a white satin ribbon. Pass it through the arcs. Be sure the ribbon is smooth and not twisted. Tie a bow. Cut off the excess and fray check the ends with a lighter. This festive woven paper basket decorated with white ribbon will perfectly embellish the interior of your kitchen, terrace, or sitting room. Today, we'll weave a round wall mirror frame from newspaper tubes. We need newspapers, a cardboard sheet, a craft knife, a knitting needle size 4, a round mirror diameter 5.5 inches, white glue, white water-based paint, dark rosewood acrylic finishing, a ring to hang the mirror, and a hot glue gun. Lay a protecting mat and start making paper tubes. Cut it out into strips. Fold the newspaper 3 times to get 8 equal parts. Add a thin glue line across the edge. Roll tight onto the needle starting with a corner. Press the corner to keep it in place. Pull out the needle. Make a couple dozens of these same tubes. Start weaving. Press the sharp tube end. Fold it in half. Add some glue. Put the end into another tube, twisting a little. Make 11 tubes. Now bend each in half. Make another fold 1/2 inch from the first one. Bend other tubes in the same double folded way. Make a long tube by joining 2 of them together. Bend in half. Take a double folded tube, start weaving it with the long folded one. Wrap around the first end, cross the tubes, and wrap the second end. These will be our stands. Change the upper and lower tubes. Weave another double folded tube. Be careful to place the layers closest to the bend points. Continue weaving clockwise. Keep equal intervals between the stands. Make the tubes longer as needed. When all the 11 tubes are woven, put the frame on the mirror to see how it fits. The frame should be a bit smaller than the mirror to keep it in place. Close the frame ring and weave the second layer closest to the first one. Be careful to keep the right frame shape. Weave 11 layers. Leave an extra 1/2 inch end near the last stand and cut off the excess. Attach the end to the stand with white glue. Add glue to the second end and tuck it in between the layers. Cut off the excess. Wrap the last stand around the closest right one. Cut off the excess. Tuck the stand end between the layers. Use a needle. Continue in the same way until the edge layer is complete. Cover the frame with a ground coat. Take water, white glue, and white water-based paint in equal proportion. You may use a ready-made ground. When the coat is dry, cover the frame with the dark rosewood finishing. The frame is nearly ready. Put in the mirror and attach the ring to hang the frame. Take a piece of cardboard and cut out 2 strips, 1.5 inches wide and 7.5 inches long. Place the mirror with its front side down on the frame's back. Attach the cardboard strips crosswise. Use a glue gun. Attach the ring to the strip with the hot glue. The original woven frame mirror is ready. It will perfectly complement the interior design of your hall or sitting room. In this video, we'll show how to make a funny paper tube bicycle flower pot holder for the kids' room. Lay a protecting cover. Make magazine page tubes. Fold the page in half. Cut out with a craft knife. Add white glue across the edge. Roll the paper on the needle, starting with the corner. Make a couple of dozens of these tubes. Weave 4 tubes to shape a square in the center. It will be a frame. Make an extended weaving tube. Fold the end of a tube in half. Add some glue. Put it into another tube. Bend the long one in half. Wrap around a frame tube or stand, as we'll call it further on. Weave around another stand. Continue in the same way. Extend the tubes as far as needed. Finish weaving after the 4th row. Fasten the tube ends using glue. Bend the stand to the right, winding around the next one. Cut off the excess. Glue the end. Tuck back inside the weaving. Continue in the same way. We've got a wheel. Make 2 more of the same wheels. Now we should weave a pot. Make 6 extended frame stands. Place them crisscrossing per every 3 ones. Make another long weaving tube. Bend it in half. Start weaving around the 3 stands together first. Separate 1 stand from the 3 after the second row to weave it individually. Divide the stand pairs in the next row to weave each tube separately. Continue further without changes. See how the weaving fits the flower pot? The size is fitting well. We can complete the bottom. Wind a stand around the next right one and bend upright. Repeat for the rest of the stands. The last one passes through the loop made with the first stand. Weave around the vertical stands. Be careful to increase the diameter upwards to follow the flower pot shape. Put in the flower pot to see if the height is enough. It is appropriate. You can finish weaving. Bend the stands to complete the edge in the same way you did when making the wheels. The woven flower pot is ready. We can make a bicycle. Pass the folded in half tube into the center of the wheel to make a shaft. Put the pot on the shaft to measure the appropriate space between the wheels. Fasten the ends. Wind 4 bended long tubes around the shaft to create a bicycle frame. Weave around the tube pairs from the left to the right direction. When the row is finished, turn back and continue weaving. Upon completion of the 5th row, cut off one of the edge stands on both sides. Continue weaving. Press over the stands from the sides to narrow the frame. Weave 3 stands at a time for several rows. Cut off 2 more stands. Put the wheel between the stands. Mark the shaft set place. Bend 2 stands back to make a loop. Fasten it with 8 shaped winds. Cut off the excess end. Glue it. Cut off the excess. Repeat for the other side. Make a handlebar. Wind 2 tubes around the 3rd one. Glue another tube end to the top of the handlebar. Weave around the pair stands with 8 shaped winds. When the handlebar is of the appropriate height, glue the tube end. Assemble the bicycle. Cut off the 2 long handlebar tubes. Bend the 2 bottom tubes to the right. Pass them through the loop. Repeat for the other side. Bend the ends down and glue. Make the same on the other side. Put the shaft into the front wheel, passing through the loops. Bend and tuck the ends into the wheel. Repeat for the other side. Cut off the ends. Attach the woven pot to the bicycle using a hot glue gun. Apply a dark lacquer finishing coat with a brush. Let it dry. Let's take a look. Cool! The craft is ready. Plant your favorite flower in the pot and decorate the windowsill with an amusing bicycle flower pot holder or put a toy in it. In this project, we'll make a convenient paper tube toy box. We'll need old newspapers and used office paper, a ground cover, white water-based paint, white glue, and a knitting needle size 4. Let's make tubes for weaving from the newspaper. Cut a newspaper folded spread into 8 parts. Add glue across the edge. Roll the paper on the needle starting with the corner. Make a couple of dozens of these tubes. Use the thick office paper for the frame tubes, or stands as we'll call them further on. Cut out the paper piece into 3 strips and make the tubes in the same way you did from the newspaper. Fold the sharp end of a white tube in half. Add some glue. Put it inside the other tube. Make 7 more long office paper frame stands in this way. Take 4 pairs of the stands. Weave them around to shape a 1-inch side square in the center. Glue 2 newspaper tubes to make a long one. Fold it in half and start weaving. Wrap a pair of stands. Weave them around and wrap another pair. Continue weaving. Make the tubes longer as far as needed. Finish weaving at the end of the second row. Cut off the excess ends and fasten them using white glue. Add the frame stands. Prepare 4 pairs. Add a pair to each square side, winding around the stands. Weave the stands with the newspaper tubes for 2 rows. Add the stands at 4 sides again. Weave the box bottom, alternating a pair of stands and 2 rows of newspaper weaving. There are 10 pairs of white frame stands in each direction. Complete the weaving. Attach the tube ends. Take a corner pair of the stands and bend it to the right. Wind around the next pair. Turn it upright. Continue around the row until all the stands are upright. Extend the stands. Weave the box walls with the newspaper tubes. Fasten the weaving at the end of the second row. Begin the next row at an inch beyond the last one. Keep the equal interval between the rows. Make the walls of the needed height in the same way. Weave 4 rows successively at the end to make the walls firm. Let's make the upper edge neat. Bend the right stand of any pair to the right and down. Cut off the excess. Glue the end. Pass one pair of stands and tuck the end between the rows. Continue in the same way. The rest of the stands bend in the same way to the left. The box is ready. Let's make the lid. Weave it in the same way you did the box, but an inch bigger. When all the stands are upright, weave 4 rows with newspaper tubes. Complete the upper edge in the same way you did the box. The lid is ready. Let's make the handle. Extend a newspaper tube. Shape a ring. Wind around to make it firm. Extend the tube as far as needed. Fasten the handle on the lid. Put the tube end into the center of the lid. Return upwards. Pass through the ring. Extend the tube when needed to make several more windings. Secure the end on the back of the lid. We have completed the weaving. Let's go ground the box. Apply the ground cover with a brush to the box and lid all over the surface. Let them dry. Spray with white acrylic paint. Let's make a fabric cover. Use a pillowcase of the appropriate size and color. Turn the case the inside out. Sew down the far corners. Place the case to put the corners in the center. Seam across the fold lines on both sides. Put the cover inside the box. Mark the needed height. Cut off the excess. Stitch the edge. Put the cover inside. Wrap with a white satin ribbon. Tie a bow. Snip off the ends. And don't forget to fray check. Cool! The toy box is ready. Now, the toys will always be in one place in this festive, convenient box. Leave your comments. Subscribe to our channel to see new tutorials with interesting home decor ideas.